Okay.
Welcome, Mage. I'm Rhino, and today we are going in to do the top 10 budget commanders
For
for Bloomburrow.
Bloomburrow. Okay. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go over budget commanders. So, there's a couple of things that we have to make sure you understand here. The commander card itself can't be above $2. And we're also looking at cards that will go into the 99 of these commanders, making sure that uh, they are under, they're pretty much $1 or less, maybe $2, all depending. But, we're not, if a commander works really good with a really expensive card, we're not going to assume that. So
Yeah.
we're going to start out with number 10. And number 10 is
Um,
Phineas, Ace Archer.
Ace Archer.
Okay, so what's so cool about Phineas Ace Archer?
When he attacks, put a 1/1 counter on each other creature you control, and that is a token
Or a
a
rabbit. Okay, so there's not a lot of rabbits in Magic, but you can create lots of tokens. So what are some good tokens that could be in this deck?
Copy tokens,
Copy tokens, okay.
clue tokens.
Well, yeah,
Well, maybe
as long as it's a creature. What other creature?
servos.
Servos, Thopters. So yeah, he can be pretty decent. Now, the thing about Phineas is he's he's a reasonable commander. We really don't see where you can do something really strange or awkward with him. However, he's going to be great in other decks. So if you have any creatures that you're running in the Selesnya, the green-white, he's going to be a great card to add. Let's see. Now on to number 9. And number 9 is
Marra.
Marra. Trash Tactics. Okay, so what's so great about Marra?
Well, it's 3-drop, 2/4, and at the beginning of your first phase, main phase, add a red or a green
For
each raccoon you control.
There's not a lot of raccoons.
Yeah.
I mean, you can always use Changeling with any of these.
Oh yeah, by all means.
But there's not a lot of raccoons. So you're kind of limited on the number of raccoons that you've got. And then it's got the expand. So that's when you've got, things where you're casting larger mana cost things. So I don't know, it'll be good. It can be fun. You can do some stuff. But I mean, this is probably not going to be high on anybody's list for doing raccoons, unless you're doing changelings. So number 8 is Camilla C. Miser. So Squirrels. Yay, Squirrels. Squirrels have menace. Whenever you sacrifice one or more food, you create a 1/1 green squirrel. Okay. And then you can forge and you can put a 1/1 counter on each other squirrel you control. So you can do lots of cool squirrel things. However, the really things that make squirrels explosive are expensive cards. So that's why this is at number 8. Number 7 is Kestrel. Okay, so what's so cool about Kestrel?
Well, it's based on birds.
And and how many birds are there in Magic?
300
307 or something like that. And then you've got the changelings, of course. But so there's a lot of birds that you can do. And of course, the birds have flying. Yay! So whenever one or more birds you control deal combat damage to a player, you can choose one of the following things. You can put a bird from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield with a finality counter, which means that when it dies, it's exiled. Can't bring it back. Or you can put 1/1 counter on each bird you control. That's probably pretty reasonable. Or you can draw a card. Now, this is only one per player. So if you hit somebody with 30 birds, you only get to do this once.
Yeah.
But it says to a player, you can choose one. So for each player, you get to do it. So that's cool. So if you spread out and you hit everybody, then that'll help a lot. So I mean, birds are standard evasion, and it makes for a good commander. But the problem is
it's a 5-drop.
Yeah,
and there's not a lot of ramp in Azorius.
Yeah, and especially if we're talking about budget. I mean, yeah, you've got some ramp capabilities and stuff like that, but you're still going to be turn 4 most likely before you can get this out. So it's not going to be nearly as fast. So yeah, that's why it is at number 7. So number 6 is Alania.
Divergent Storm. Divergent.
Okay. So this is a spell slinger. It's also another 5-drop. But not too bad. I mean, you've got some things you can do here.
You can do instants, sorceries, and otter.
Yeah, not a lot of otters. But there are a fair number in Bloomburrow. But this has the gifting mechanism in it. So that means that when you cast an instant or a sorcery or or an otter, your first one each turn, you can gift a card to a player, an opponent. Do you really want to do that a lot? Probably not. Not unless you've got something that you can gift them a card and then you force them to discard their hand. And there's ways to do that in Red.
Yeah.
And they're pretty fun. Most people don't like them, but they're pretty fun. Alania is our number 6 pick. Now our number 5 pick is, where is she? She's right there. It's Mabel, heir to Cragflame.
So this is
Mouse Tribal.
Mouse Tribal.
Yeah, Mouse Tribal. So there's not a lot of mice. There's ways of making mice. There's ways of making mice in Throne of Eldraine and stuff like that.
3 mice.
Yeah. But then you have this legendary artifact which grants a +1/+1 vigilance, trample, and haste. So we see this as not being something where you put in a bunch of mice. You're going to kind of ignore that other mice get +1/+1, and you really want this for that special sword. It's an equipped of 2, uh, and of course you have the ability to bring it out anytime that you cast Mabel. Uh, it's legendary, so you can only have 1, but yeah, you can have a big creature enter the battlefield, and you can attach this to it and come trampling in with haste and vigilance almost immediately. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty darn cool. And that's why Mabel is number 5. All right. Number 4 is... Okay, this is down at the bottom here.
It's Soreline
Cosmos Call. So
this is really a bat tribal.
Yeah. So and there's a fair number of bats in Magic. There's there's over 100, I believe. And then of course changelings. So whenever a bat you control attacks, you gain 1 life. Yay, life gain. And that would be for each bat. And then whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may pay that and 2 life. Good thing you're doing a lot of life gain. Yeah. And you can return a target non-land permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. So that is all your little bitty bats. You can easily bring them back. But it could be other things. So it says a non-land permanent. Mm-hmm. So that could be maybe your commander sphere or something like that. It could be other pieces of equipment and, or things like that. So it's more than just creatures. So that's one of the reasons why this is all the way up at number 4. All right. Number 3 is...
Wrenn, the Relentless.
Okay, so what's so cool about Wrenn?
He's a rat.
Lots of rats. Okay.
Lots of rats.
Ward of 2.
Ward of 2.
So yeah, that makes it a little harder to take him out.
And if a creature and opponent controls would die this turn, exile instead.
So that means everything's got a finality counter on it. It goes to exile. And then this is the real kicker. At the beginning of each end step, create a bunch of rats based off of the number of creatures your opponents controlled that were exiled. So yeah, you can end up with lots of rats to pretty quick.
All right.
Now there are things, and what we're going to do is I'm going to pull up this. Yeah, a lot of people are going to think, oh yes, we'll do Rat Colony. It's a common card. It's a $6 common card. You're not going to be able to do that.
It's impossible
in a budget deck. And it's like, well, there's a cheaper version. We're going to use Relentless Rats. Well, Relentless Rats is still $3 each. So you're probably not going to do that. But still, Wrenn is pretty darn impressive, as is, and is our number 3 pick. Now, our number 2 pick is... here it is.
Gev, and Scaled, and Scorch.
Okay, now, he's got a ward of pay to life. Okay, that, you think, okay, in the beginning of the game, yeah, everybody's going to, oh yeah, no problem, I can pay 2 life. But when you get towards the end of the game and players are down to like 5 life and stuff like that,
They
They're
don't want to pay 2 life.
yeah, they're not going to pay 2 life to target this guy, so he's going to stay on the battlefield pretty easily. Other creatures you control with enter with a 1/1 counter on them for each opponent with who lost life this turn. Okay, now there's some cool things going on here. Eh, let's get to the next one. Whenever you cast a lizard spell, he deals 1 damage to a target opponent. So you cast a lizard. That means you deal 1 damage immediately, and then it enters with a 1/1 counter on it. All right. So if you have ways of dealing more damage to other opponents, you can do upwards of 3 1/1 counters. So and there's a fair number of lizards, and there's about 100 lizards, and they all have that sort of pinging sort of thing that they do. So that's pretty darn cool. Now, before we get to number 1, well, make sure you know that we're going to tell you which 2 commanders we're going to do, and so you can guess what they are. But our number 1 pick is
Balin,
the Haymaker. Okay, so Balin deals with tokens. Okay, and it doesn't say token creatures, it just says tokens. So any way that you can create tokens, you can do a lot of the abilities with Balin. Yes, he's a 3-drop with red, green, and white, but you can tap 2 untapped tokens, and you can do a mana of any color. You can tap 3 and draw a card. You can tap 4 and you put 3 counters on Balin, and it gains trample until end of turn. So you can make Balin pretty big pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
And now that's still tapping 4 tokens, but if you tap a treasure token, you're not using it, and you can still sacrifice it for later. Now, granted, clue tokens and food tokens and stuff like that, you need to tap them and bring them out. But you're going to be able to build up a lot of tokens. And if you have like a whole bunch of Thopters, you can tap all of them at your right before your turn and do something, and then tap them again on your turn. So that's now Balin. We think is going to be the number 1 commander from Bloomburrow. Now this of course does not include the commander decks. These are just out of the packs. So what do you think our cards are going to our commanders are going to be? Well,
leave it in the comments below.
Yeah, well, we're going to start with Rhino. Rhino has picked
Gev.
All right. So why do you want to use Gev?
Well,
Yeah. What's going to be the number 1 card you want to get out on the battlefield with Gev out?
Probably Impact Trimmers.
Impact Trimmers. Okay. So now the nifty thing is this is 2 enter the battlefield triggers.
You can stack them however you want.
So you can do the Impact Trimmers first, and then you can do the Give trigger, which is the 1/1 counters. So you can ensure every time you
put down a lizard
or any other creature, you get 3 counters on it. Now there is an interesting lizard that you want to have in this because it can get super huge super quick, and that is
Chandra's Pyroling.
Okay, so whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, it gets a +1/+0, and gains double strike until end of turn. Okay.
Yeah.
So this, yeah, yeah, think about it. Each one of these little pings
Non-combat damage.
is a single non-combat damage. So you deal 3 damage, it gets +3/+0. You do it again, another +3/+0. I mean, you can end up
Boom, boom, boom,
boom,
boom.
boom, 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 boom. So that's huge. Quite literally, it can get huge. Now, me on the other hand, I am going to do Ren the Relentless. All right, there's a reason why. Got a quick story for you, and that it goes all the way back to 1993 to the very, very first regional competition in the area that I was in. And the deck that I built used this wonderful little card called Plague Rats. All right. Now, Plague Rats does not say that you can have as many in your deck as you want. However, that's how the card was conceived of originally. Until they came up with the playset. So I'm probably going to do 2 versions of this deck. One version is going to use Plague Rats, kind of like Rat Colony, because, I mean, even though they haven't errated this to be, you can have as many in your deck as you want, that's how it was conceived. That's why it was there. And, when I was in that tournament and on turn 3, I was swinging with 20 damage because I had 5 Plague Rats out, and they were all amping each other, or 4 Plague Rats, 5. I mean, I could get a bunch out real quick. That's what they were there for. So I'm going to do probably a real, quote unquote, real rat deck, and then I'm going to do a Plague Rat version of it, because hey, Plague Rats are like 10-cent piece. they're cheap, unless you want to go with the betas, which was the ones that I had. So we're going to do our number 3 and our number 2 pick. But keep in mind, Balin is still number 1. We'll probably go ahead and do a Balin deck as well. That'll be coming out in over the next couple of weeks. We'll probably do a little deck tech on it and some gameplay, and see how it works. So which commander would you like? Put it in the comments below. Which one are you going to build? I mean, all these are pretty darn inexpensive. And the decks that we generally come up with are around $20 to $30 max worth of cards. So hope to see you. Make sure you like and subscribe. And let's see here.
Well, I hope you like this set. Bloomburrow. And I have more videos coming out soon. So until then, Rhino out.